जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जना यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन रञ्जना यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सतत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस इसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सतत श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, verse number 40. Tvam api adabhra shruta vishrutam vibhoho tvamapyadabhra shruta vishrutam vibhoho tvamapyadabhra shruta vishrutam vibhoho samapyate yena vidam babhutsitam samapyate yena vidam babhutsitam samapyate yena vidam babhutsitam prakhyahi dukkhair moho ardita atmanam prakhyahi dukkhair mohorarditatmanam prakhyahi dukkhair mohorarditatmanam sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyatha sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyatha sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyatha tvamapyadabhra shruta vishrutam vibhoho samapyate yena vidam babhutsitam prakhyahi dukkhair mohorarditatmanam sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyatha tvamapyadabhra shruta vishrutam vibhoho samapyate yena vidam babhutsitam prakhyahi dukkhair mohorarditatmanam sanklesha nirvanam ushanti nanyatha. Tvam, your good soul, Abhi, also, Adabhra, vast, Shruta, Vedic literatures, Vishrutam, have heard also, Vibhoho, of the Almighty, Samapyate, satisfied, Yena, by which, Vidam, of the learned, Babhutsitam, who always desire to learn transcendental knowledge. Prakhyahi, describe. Dukkhaihi, by miseries. Moho, always. Ardita Atmanam, suffering mass of people. Sanklesha, sufferings. Nirvanam, mitigation. Ushantina, do not get out of. Anyatha, by other means. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. Kindly repeat. Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Narada Muni, from practical experience, definitely asserts that the prime solution of all problems of material work is to broadcast very widely the transcendental glories of the Supreme Lord. There are 4 classes of good men, and there are 4 classes of bad men also. The 4 classes of good men acknowledge the authority of the Almighty God, and therefore such good men, when they are in difficulty, number 1. Number 2, when they are in need of money. Number 3, when they are advanced in knowledge. And number 4, when they are inquisitive to know more and more about God, intuitively take shelter of the Lord. As such, Naradaji advises Vyasadeva to broadcast the transcendental knowledge of God in terms of the vast Vedic knowledge which he had already attained. As far as the bad men are concerned, they are also 4 in number. Number 1, those who are simply addicted to the mode of progressive fruitive work and thus are subjected to the accompanying miseries. Number 2, those who are simply addicted to vicious work for sense satisfaction and so suffer the consequence. Number 3, those who are materially very much advanced in knowledge but who suffer because they do not have the sense to acknowledge the authority of the Almighty Lord. And number 4, the class of men who are known as atheists and who therefore purposely hate the very name of God, although they are always in difficulty. Sri Naradaji advised Vyasadeva to describe the glories of the Lord, just to do good to all 8 classes of men, both good and bad. Srimad Bhagavatam is therefore not meant for any particular class of men or sect. It is for the sincere soul who actually wants its own welfare and peace of mind. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 1st canto, 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Some years back, I was in Bangalore, and there used to be one family whom I used to meet. They were good donors of the temple, Bangalore temple, and the main head of the family was a very religious man, very devoted to Srinivas Govinda, Tirupati Balaji. There are many people you will find, especially in South India, who are very devoted to Tirupati Balaji. This man was a big businessman, very wealthy, very affluent, and probably in his 60s. His son was also grown up. I think his son was also married. His son had just started probably taking the reins of the business in his hand. So he was also actively involved in the business, but at the same time, gradually, he was handing over things to his son. And good devotee, nice devotee, donated a lot of money to the Bangalore temple also. So we used to meet him often, invite him for the festivals and all that. Once it so happened that when I went to his house to meet him, I found that he had fallen sick, badly sick. Some issue, some problem had happened. His tongue had started swelling, and he was not able to speak, and his tongue had practically swollen so much, his whole mouth was filled with the tongue. And they had the family did not have any dearth of money, so they were going to the best doctors, taking the best medication, treatment, all that was going on. But this man, because he was not able to eat anything, he was not able to talk, they had put some intravenous fluid or something, some tube they put. And that's how he was getting his nutrition. So he was better than practically. When I met him, I realized, I sensed that his time is near, he is not going to last longer. So I gave some, that we have that sound box with Prabhupada's chanting. That one I gave and told, keep it always next to him and keep it running to the family members, I told. And also, because he was a devotee of Tirupati Balaji, I gave one small photograph of Srinivasa Govinda and told to keep next to his, the bed. There is one small table next to the bed. I said, keep it always there, and the Lord's mercy and protection will be there. And spoke a little bit and spoke to him also. He was conscious, he was hearing and all that. I tried to give him a little courage and spoke to him about Krishna and all that, how we are not the body, spirit, soul, all those kind of things. And then I left. After about a week or two, maybe a couple of weeks later, I got the news that he has passed away. Immediately I rushed from the temple to his home, carried one, as we normally do, carried one garland, some charnamrit and all those kind of things. And went to his home, his body was there, put a little bit of charnamrit into his mouth, put the prasadam garland for him. And I was speaking to the family members. When the son came, he was crying, natural, bereaved family, they were crying. The son came to me and he started speaking to me, and I don't know why father this happened to him. Suddenly everything was going well, he was normal, he was healthy. Suddenly this happened and he is no more with us, he has left us and gone. And then I was trying to pacify them. Normally in such circumstances there is not much you can do. And then he started becoming a little more emotional, started crying, and he said, Father was such a great devotee of God, he was such a great devotee of Tirupati Balaji. And but then still, although he was such a great devotee, still this happened to him. So now my faith in God is gone. I don't believe God exists. Like that, he went to another extreme. Natural, because very emotional, at that time. Then I started speaking to him and telling him, no, don't feel like that and all those kind of things. But practically in that, when they are in that emotionally surcharged environment, there is not much you can speak to them or preach to them. So at that moment, I didn't delve too much into all that. I just tried to give him a little solace and then I came away. So this happens to many people, you see, when they have to face some big challenge in life or some difficulty, some calamity, some very near and dear one's death in their family, they will lose their faith in God. Sometimes it happens to people. Anyway, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, it is said that there are activities which people are naturally inclined to. Loke, in this material world, the common mass of people, Loke vyavayamisha madhya seva, nityahi janto nahi tatra chodana. These activities of Loke vyavaya means the attraction for the man and woman. This is number one. And number two, amisha, the inclination to eat non-vegetarian foodstuff, and madhya seva, the inclination to consume intoxicating products. It may be alcohol, it may be tobacco, it may be coffee, tea, all these kind of stuff. These are all intoxicating substances. So Loke, in this material world, this attraction, this desire to have a relationship with the opposite sex, the desire to eat non-vegetarian foodstuff, and the desire to engage in intoxication. These three things, the Srimad Bhagavatam says, that Loke vyavayamisha madhya seva nitya hidyanto. For every living entity, this is a very natural inclination. Nahi tatra chodana. Nobody needs to instigate them or motivate them. Normally in this material world, if you want people to do good work, to be honest, to be dutiful, to help others, you have to give a lot of motivational talks. You have to give them, you have to teach them moral science, and you have to have motivational speakers come and talk about how honesty, integrity, these things are all very good things and we should follow that and all that. And still people will become corrupt. They will engage in cheating and such other activities. So to engage in pious activities, you need constant motivation from other people. Sri Krishna Balaram ki. But to engage in these three activities, to engage in meat eating, intoxication and illicit sex, nahi tatra chodana, you don't need any motivation. Naturally, automatically people are inclined towards this. And fact is, the Bhagavatam says, Loke, you will see, this inclination is not there only amongst human beings. Even animals have the same propensity. They will naturally feel inclined towards these things. The animals also mate, they also search for food and intoxicants. You look at some animals like ants and other stuff, they are intoxicated with sugar. So they are addicted to sugar. That's why anywhere some little sweet is there, you will see very quickly from nowhere, within a short span of time, you'll have an army of ants there. It's natural. So this natural inclination is there amongst humans as well as animals. But then animals indulge in these things unrestrictedly. Human beings are not supposed to engage in these things unrestrictedly, although that inclination may be there. Nai tatra chodana. Nityahi jantor. Automatically that propensity is there in every human being, but doesn't mean that they should give vent to that inclination or that propensity, just like animals do. Human beings are supposed to exercise far greater self-restraint. And vyavastitisteshu, and engagement in these activities, you will see, Even though people are automatically inclined towards these things, in the Vedic scriptures, there is encouragement given to these very same activities. Vyavastitisteshu vivaha yajna suragrahai. In the Vedic scriptures, there is the process of vivaha yajna, vivaha samskara, the process of marriage. And what is this process of marriage? It is just a process by which a man and a woman are brought together, and it is declared to everybody, this man and this woman are from now on husband and wife. And then they will relate with each other, they will eventually, children will be born, all these kind of things will happen. So you will see this relationship between the man and the woman there is a license given for that, there is a stamp of authority given for that by the Vedic scriptures. And not only that, yajna, when we speak of amisha means the propensity to eat meat. That also, by performance of certain yajnas, it is animal sacrifice is sanctioned in the Vedic scriptures, by which people can go in front of Kali or Durga or somebody like that, and on an Amavasya they can sacrifice an animal, and that meat can be taken as Kali Prasad or Durga Prasad, like that. So there is sanction for meat eating also in the Vedic scriptures. And Vivaha Yajna Suragrahai. Sura means again Madhya Seva. It's intoxicant. Even alcohol, consumption of alcohol also, there is a provision for that in the Vedic scriptures. On certain occasions, you can offer the intoxicating substances to some devata, and then the people can consume this. So these activities of illicit sex, meat eating and intoxication, people are naturally inclined to it. Then why do the Vedic scriptures talk of that? We don't need any religious sanction for these activities. Like today's world, you can see in Kali Yuga, the interest in marriages are dwindling. People are not so much interested in marriages now. It's more of live-in relationships. Okay, you man and woman come together, you like each other, you live together. After some time, you get fed up with each other, you break up and go and find another partner. Very convenient. Marriage means you have to go through the process of divorce, you have to go to the court, you have to engage a lawyer, so much headache, so much expense, money involved. Live-in relationship, very comfortable, very convenient. So when man and woman can live together without the need of a marriage, why are the Vedic scriptures talking of marriage? Similarly, meat eating. Why do you need Vedas to eat meat? You go to KFC, you go to McDonald's, you go to any non-vegetarian restaurant, you go there, order the food and eat. What is the big deal? Similarly, intoxication. Why do we need to perform a yajna to eat meat or to intoxicate? You can go to the shop, you can buy a cigarette, you can buy any alcoholic product. In Tamil Nadu, you have TASMAC, government itself is opening the shops for alcoholic products. You go there, buy. You have to be beyond a certain age. There is an age limit here. Beyond that age, you go pay the money, across the counter, you get the alcohol and you consume. What is there? Why do you need Vedas for this? So the Bhagavatam is saying, Vyavastitisteshu Vivaha Yajna Suragrahai Asu Nivrittir Ishta. The Vedic scriptures also sanction the very same things with an intention to Asu Nivrittir Ishta, to gradually wean away the person from these activities. The idea is not to encourage or engage people in that activity only. When you speak of religion, when you speak of marriage, when you speak of meat eating, intoxication, all these things which are sanctioned in the Vedic scriptures, there are so many strict rules and regulations. You cannot go and associate with any woman like you like to do. You have to associate with only the woman whom you are married to. There is a restriction. And then when you speak of meat eating also, Amavasya has to come. You have to offer a goat or a lower animal to Durga or Kali. So all these restrictions are built in so that people understand that these things are not to be indulged in unrestrictedly. But if we put a complete blanket ban on these things, then what will happen? Like we see even in today's India, whichever states are dry states where alcohol is forbidden, what happens there? The illicit liquor becomes a very common thing, and huge tragedies become very common. People consume this illicit liquor and they die. So what happens? People, although it is banned, they know it is illegal to consume liquor, still some people, they cannot contain themselves, they cannot control themselves, they cannot restrain themselves, they will still want to consume. In every cigarette packet, in every the pan masala, they will have the statutory warning. In fact, pan masala is banned now. But have people stopped using pan masala? No. They will find some illicit way of getting it and consuming it. In every cigarette packet, you will find big photographs of people getting the mouth cancer, lung cancer, all these things because of this one. But do people stop smoking? No, they don't stop. They know very well that even educated people know. Okay, you can say, okay, uneducated person is smoking, he is not aware. But even educated, highly educated people cannot restrain themselves. They have to smoke. Although they know that the effect of smoking is he will eventually get cancer, but still he cannot restrain himself. So you have to understand that there will always be people who will indulge in intoxication, meat eating and illicit sex, no matter what restriction you put in place. So therefore the Vedic scriptures, they say, for such people who cannot restrain themselves, we give a little option, a little sanction. In this restricted way you can engage in these things. That way gradually the person will be able to control himself, and over a period of time he'll be able to give up his propensity. That is the idea behind the Vedic scriptures. But actually if you see the same Bhagavatam, in another place it says, Dhyutam panam striya suna yatradharmas chaturvidaha. The Bhagavatam is saying there are 4 kinds of sinful activities. What are the 4 kinds of sinful activities? Dhyutam, engaging in gambling. Panam, engaging in intoxication, consuming intoxicants. Striya, association, illicit sex, illicit association between man and woman. This is the 3rd thing. And striya suna, dhyutam panam, striya suna. Suna means meat eating. So yatra adharmaha chaturvidaha. All these 4 activities are adharmas. They are against religious principles. And the same Bhagavatam is also saying that in the Vedic scriptures, sanction is given for these very same activities under certain conditions. So if it is adharma, if it is sinful activity, why are the Vedic scriptures allowing people to do that? Because if they don't allow, people will anyway indulge in it. So better is allow them, they will do it unrestrictedly. So instead of that, give a restricted allowance, so that eventually people will learn to come out of it. This is the idea of the Vedic scriptures. Otherwise, essentially if you see these 4 activities, meat eating, illicit sex, gambling and intoxication, these 4 are sinful activities and they form the pillars of adharma. They are irreligious principles. Somebody may say, what is there? I'm drinking alcohol. I am not harming anyone. I am enjoying. I go have my peg in the pub and then I go home and sleep. I don't trouble anybody. So what is wrong in this? No, sir, it is wrong. It is sinful. So the people who engage in these 4 kinds of sinful activities fall under 4 classifications, whom Krishna refers to as dushkritina. Namam dushkritino moodaha prapadyante naradamaha. What is the full verse? Naradamaha. After that what? You know the verse? Maya aparata jnana asuram bhavam ashvitaha. These are the 4 classes of people. What are the 4 classes of people? The 4 classes of people are referred to as as Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport here, Namam Dushkritano Moodaha. The first class of people is those who are simply addicted to the mode of progressive fruity work and thus are subjected to the accompanying miseries. These are people who are foolish people, Moodaha. They think the goal of life is that we have to somehow take care of the family, we have duties towards the family, towards the nation, towards this, that. This is the goal of life, to perform these duties. They don't understand that I am not the body, I am spirit, soul. At the end of everything, I have to die. They don't understand that. So they are foolish people. Namam dushkritano mooda prapadyante naradamaha. Then there are those who are simply addicted to vicious work for sense satisfaction. So such people, they are called naradhama. That means they will engage in any sinful activity without any discrimination, and they will think that this sense enjoyment is the goal of life. Doesn't matter by hook or crook, beg, borrow or steal, engaging in corruption, engage in stealing, do anything by hook or crook, you enjoy life. This is the second class of people. They are called naradhama. And then those who are materially very much advanced in knowledge, who are these are maya padartha jnana, means very intellectual, very learned. They will philosophize, they will think about the welfare of the people, but who suffer because they do not have the sense to acknowledge the authority of the Almighty Lord. They think with my intelligence, with my knowledge, I can solve all the problems of the material world. So these are people who will come up with various theories, various isms, communism, socialism, capitalism, nationalism. They think this is the solution for all the problems that we are facing. If we follow this ism which I have come up with, everybody can be happy. But nobody has been happy by following any ism. That's the truth. So their intelligence has been stolen away by maya or illusion. They are under the illusion, thinking that my intelligence has come up with a wonderful plan by which everybody can become happy. They do not have the sense to acknowledge that beyond my intelligence and beyond all my arrangements, there is the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is supreme, which cannot be overridden by my intelligence. That they do not acknowledge. Therefore, they are maya varta jnana. And the fourth class is asuram bhavamashrita. The fourth class of men who are known as atheists and who therefore purposely hate the very name of God. This is the fourth class of people. They will never accept that God is there. If you talk about God, if you talk about going to the temple, if you talk about doing pious activities, what will they say? No. These are all very regressive thinking. Science and technology and economy, these are the things by which people can progress and people can become happy. Don't bring God into the picture. That's all faith, blind faith. So these are the four classes of people. And Prabhupada is mentioning here that all these four classes of people will have to suffer. They have been going on making so many arrangements. People became unhappy with monarchy. So they thought, okay, let us have socialism and communism. By socialism and communism, did people become happy? In fact, people became worse off. People suffered even more under communist and socialist rules. This is the reality. Even today, whichever countries are communist or socialist, the people are so poor, even for them to get regular requirements like fruits and vegetables becomes difficult. And then people came up with capitalism. But in capitalism, you will see there is one section of people who become very rich, and there is vast majority of people who become extremely poor and have to suffer. And even the rich people are not happy in capitalism. They are also struggling. Any moment their net worth may be wiped out. So they are also struggling. And you see, like this, no matter what arrangements people do, nobody has become happy in this world. Everybody is suffering. And you can see now, yesterday, today, there has been news going on about how Syria is being overtaken by rebels. There are these rebel forces who have been fighting against the government, and the rebel forces are about to take over the capital city. So you see, the whole world is watching. The United Nations is on a very closely, the United Nations is watching what is happening in Syria. So United Nations, you have got such a big, vast organization where so many countries are members of that United Nations. What is United Nations doing to stop the war? They are unable to stop. Similarly, Ukraine and Russia are at war. United Nations is not able to do anything. Like this all over the world. There in Israel, you know what is going on. So months together war is going on. United Nations is not able to do anything. So no matter how big an arrangement we make, no matter it is a combination, cooperative arrangement by all the biggest nations of the world, still they cannot stop the sufferings in this material world. Because people are dushkritina, they are sinful, they will have to suffer. So today's verse, which is the concluding verse of this 5th chapter of the 1st canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni is saying that the Ardita Atmana, the mass of people are constantly suffering. So for that suffering people, we have to find a solution. We have to find a way how they can be relieved of their suffering. But as long as people are sinful, you cannot stop their suffering. They will go on suffering. Now the only way, the only class of people who can actually become free from suffering are those who are pious. Chaturvidya bhajante mam sukritino Arjuna. Krishna says there are 4 kinds of sinful activities. Artho artharthi jijnasurcha jnani cha bharatarshava. Who are these 4 kinds of people who engage in pious activities? Pious activities means activities which are sanctioned according to the Vedic scriptures. So number 1 is the good men. Number 1, when they are in difficulty, artaha. Whenever they face some difficulty, some financial trouble, they have some difficulty in life, they are facing some challenges, they are having some, they are faced with some disease, some issues there, artaha. when they are distressed, what do? These are people who will resort to religion. They will go to the temple, they will pray, they will do all those kind of things when they are in difficulty. The second class of people is artharthi, when they need money. I'll go and break 108 coconuts. This my business endeavor should become profitable. Many people go to Tirupati Balaji. Oh Tirupati Balaji, I'm starting a new business. If I make good profit in this, I'll give 10% of the profit to you. They'll make Balaji their business partner, 10% business partner. So when they are in need of money, they go to the temple. And when they are advanced in knowledge, that is jnani, when they are advanced in knowledge, they want to seek out who is the source of this, whatever we see, this material world. Who is the person from whom I have come? Who is God? What is my relationship with Him? The people who understand these things and who understand that I am not the body, I am a spirit soul. Everything does not end with the body. So these kind of people also go to the temple. And then when they are inquisitive to know more and more about God, jijnasu. All such people, when they are pious, they will approach their respective religious scriptures and try to understand more. But then, like I gave the example, somebody may be pious, they may be going to the temple, like that businessman was there in Bangalore. He was very pious, he was a great devotee of Balaji. Even all his family members, they were all devotees of Balaji. But when a situation of distress came, when the man died, what happened? His son said, I have lost my faith in God. I don't believe in God anymore. I don't think God exists. You see what happens? If you are not sufficiently pious, if you don't have enough pious credits in your life, although you may believe in God, when faced with a difficult circumstance in life, what will happen? You will lose your faith in God.
On the other hand, if you have sufficient pious credits, if you have done enough punya karma in your past lives, when you are faced with a great calamity or distress in your life, what will happen? You will go and surrender to Krishna or Vishnu. You will not go to any other Devata. You will not go to some Lord Shiva or Lord Ganesha or Durga or Shani, Kali, all these people. You will forget all these people. If you are sufficiently pious, what you will do? You will come and surrender to Krishna. You will come and surrender to Vishnu. And for such people, Narada Muni is saying, such people who are pious, who have got enough credits, pious credits, enough punya karma, such that in their times of difficulty or in need, when they are in need of money, they come and surrender to the Supreme Lord only, they don't go to anybody else. For such people, Narada Muni is informing Veda Vyasa, describe the Almighty Lord's activities. Vibho. Vibho means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are all Anu, we are Atma, we are very minute. The Supreme Lord is infinite, Krishna is infinite. He is infinitely powerful. He has infinite energies by which the activities of this universe are going on automatically. So that infinite Supreme Lord Krishna, Vibho, of that Supreme Lord, please describe his activities which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas. Why? Because that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men, of the Jnanis and Jnanasus. And at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. That is referring to the Artha and Artharthi. Normally, when we speak of the four kinds of pious people, Artho, Artharthi, Jnani, Jijnasu, these four kinds of people. The Jnani and Jijnasu, the person who is inquisitive to know the absolute truth and the person who is already in knowledge, they are renounced people. They are either brahmacharis or sannyasis. They are renunciants. So for them, there is no necessity of money. They are not facing difficulties in life which they need to resolve. So they are not approaching the Supreme Lord for all these things. They approach the Supreme Lord for what? Because they want to understand who is the Supreme Lord, what is our duty, prime duty as a human being, what is the ultimate goal of life. So they want to understand these things and therefore they approach the Supreme Lord. This is one class of people. Another class of people is a common mass of people who are completely engaged in their household affairs, their material duties to perform, and as a result what has happened? They are always in need of money to maintain their families and themselves, and they are faced with insurmountable problems all through their life. One problem after the other keeps coming in their life. So Artha and Artharthi, these are Grahasthas, these are people who are engaged in household affairs. So you have one class of people who are Jnani and Artha and Jijnasu, who are renunciants, brahmacharis and sannyasis. Of course, in Kali Yuga, you don't have both class of people. In Kali Yuga, taking sannyas is also forbidden, and nobody is trained as a brahmachari. So this class is practically, you cannot find this class of people at all in Kali Yuga. In the olden ages, it used to be a very common thing. That is how India used to be known as the land of rishis and sages. But today you don't find such people. Very rarely you find such people. So the vast majority of the people in Kali Yuga, what are they? They are grahasthas, they are involved in family affairs, they have their difficult situations to handle, they are always in need of money. For both classes of people, Narada Muni is stating, describe the Almighty Lord's activities, for that will satisfy the hankerings of the great learned men. Even the great learned men are hankering. What are they hankering for? They are not hankering for money and mitigation of miseries. For them, what is there? Misery also it is referring to the body, and they are out of the bodily concept of life. They don't identify with the body. They are ready to tolerate all the miseries inflicted by material nature. So, what is the hankering then for great learned people? They are hankering what is the ultimate goal of life. How do I attain liberation? How do I attain mukti? How do I attain knowledge of the absolute truth? This is the hankering of the renunciants, of the great learned men. So, the hankerings of the great learned men and at the same time, the mitigating the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. That means the Artha and Artharthi. For both of them, the Almighty Lord's activities will satisfy them. And Narada is saying, indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. The only way is that we have to hear about the transcendental pastimes, the glories, the holy name, the qualities and the instructions of the Supreme Lord Krishna. That is the only thing which can actually satisfy the soul. And that is why even whether you are a renunciant or a person engaged in normal material activities for either kind, like the sinful people who engage in trying to use science, technology, economy, etc. to mitigate the miseries of the people, these things people have been trying for centuries together, but nobody has succeeded. Forget centuries. From the beginning of creation, there have been people like Hiranyakashipu and Ravana who thought that economic development will benefit the people and people can become happy. During the time of Ravana, Lanka was known as Swarna Lanka. All the houses were cladded with gold. You can imagine the economic status of Lanka at that time. Golden Lanka. Anywhere you look around, there will be some arch, there will be some gateway for people to come into the city, it will be made of gold. You look at the house, the facade will be made of gold. You look at the park, the benches will be made out of gold. Everywhere, wherever you turn, gold, gold, gold. Imagine the status, the economic status of Sri Lanka at the time of Ravana. But were people happy? No. People were not happy. They were still suffering from the pangs of material nature, birth, death, disease and old age. They could not become happy. And because of that sinful activities of Ravana, entire Lanka had to get burnt down. And then Ramachandra became the king of Ayodhya. And when he started ruling, he became Ramarajya. During Ramarajya, what was the unique position? It is said that no man would die unless he wanted to die. And no person will die before time. There were no untimely deaths. And people would not, there were no diseases. People would not be afflicted because of old age. Even in old age, people were very healthy. But this is Ramarajya. But at the same time, Ravana's kingdom, it is, although there was a lot of gold everywhere, it is not mentioned that during Ravana's rule, people became free from disease, old age and death. No. You see the difference? So, why the people of Ayodhya under Ramarajya, they were so happy that they became free from the problems of birth, death, disease and old age? Because they were absorbed in seeing Lord Ramachandra every day and hearing about his pastimes. They were constantly glorifying him. And so you see, even the common mass of people became extremely blissful. So much so that birth, death and disease and old age had no effect upon them. And at the same time, great rishis and sages of that time, like Vishwamitra Muni, they also were glorifying Lord Ramachandra, and they were also experiencing great bliss. So whether you are a renunciant or you are a pious person engaged in regular material duties, the only thing that can solve your problems and deliver you from the material miseries is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna, hearing about his pastimes and hearing about his qualities and hearing his instructions as given in the Bhagavad Gita. That is the only solution to mitigate the miseries of this material world. Otherwise, what will happen? Like all the sinful people are engaged in meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex, they are increasing these activities thinking that if we increase these more and more, people will become happy. But what is the result? People are becoming more and more unhappy, people are becoming more and more violent, people are becoming more and more depressed. At the individual level, societal level, at the level of the community, at the level of the nation, at the international level, every level people are unhappy. There are wars, there are conflicts, constant conflict is going on in this material world. Why? Because nobody is satisfied, nobody is happy. Everybody is dissatisfied, everybody is unhappy. This is the result of trying to mitigate our miseries while committing sinful activities. So therefore, Narada Muni is very compassionate. All the rishis and sages, they are very compassionate upon the souls who are suffering on account of their sinful activities, and therefore Narada Muni is telling Vedavyasa, Tvamapi adabra shruta vishrutam vibho. Tvamapi adabra shruta vishrutam. You are highly learned in the Vedic scriptures and you have also heard a lot. And vibho, what are the Vedic scriptures talking about? About the Supreme Lord. Actually, all the Vedic scriptures are talking about Krishna only. Vedaisya sarvair ahameva vedyu. Indirectly, directly, in every way, the Vedic scriptures are slowly directing us towards Krishna. So instead of going about in a roundabout way, we can directly approach Krishna if we read the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, Narada Muni is stating, Adabra Shruta, you have, Vedavyasa has compiled the entire Vedic literature. He has compiled the Upanishads, he has compiled the Vedanta Sutra, he has compiled the Mahabharata. After doing all this, Narada Muni is telling, Samapyate yena vidam bhuvutsitam prakhyahi. Now you describe directly the activities and glories and pastimes and qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, exclusively. Until now in the Vedas you have done that, but indirectly. Now directly glorify Him. Why? Because all these indirect things you have done, ultimately it is not going to help the common mass of people, nor is it going to help the renunciants. Neither people who are engaged in material activities, nor those who are renunciants, they are engaged in studying the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutras, even they will not become satisfied. So for both classes of people, prakhyahi vibhoho, describe directly the activities and qualities and the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, dukkhair muhurardhitatmanam, so that the living entities who are constantly harassed by the problems of the material world, sanklesha nirvanam, they will become completely free from all these miseries. Mushanti na anyatha. Actually, there is no other way to mitigate the miseries of the people. So this is the final instruction of Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, that he is concluding his instructions, because Vyasadeva began by asking Narada Muni that I have compiled the entire Vedic scriptures for the mass of the people, not for myself. But still, I am feeling that something is not complete. My work is not complete. I am feeling there is a vacuum in my heart. Why am I feeling dissatisfied after having done so much for the welfare of the people? Narada Muni is saying, pointing out that neither you nor the most learned people, even the renunciants, even those who are engaged in dharma, artha, kama, all these activities, they are very religiously following their religious scriptures, all that they are following in a very strict way, but still none of them can be satisfied. They can be satisfied only when you directly render devotion service to Krishna. Just like you see, a person may be a devotee of Tirupati Balaji, but if he does not render devotional service to him, if he engages in simply mercantile transaction with Tirupati Balaji, that you are my business partner, you help me in my business, I'll give me a profit, over, that's it. So if you approach him like that, when difficulty comes in life, then what will happen? I made you a partner, I gave you all my profits, still you made me go under loss. I lost faith in you. People will lose faith. So, the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita are meant for people who are sufficiently pious enough to be able to surrender to Krishna and follow his instructions and develop renunciation from the activities of material sense gratification. Only then can we become really happy and we can become free from the miseries of this material world. So, this is the instruction given by Narada Muni to Vyasadeva, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore it behooves all of us to become devotees of Krishna, read the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, especially in Kali Yuga. And no amount of reading Upanishads and Vedanta Sutras and other scriptures is going to give you any satisfaction. Ultimately, by reading all of that, you have to finally come to the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, instead of going there and reading all the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutras and all these scriptures, better to come directly and read the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, because in Kali Yuga, this is what will work. This is the only thing that will work. And directly take up chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And immediately we can experience freedom from the material pangs of old age, disease, birth and death. And we can become free from the miserable condition of this material world. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss. Does anybody have any question or comment? Yes, please.
People who are saying what is with God, how can we convince them?
How to convince people who are saying work is worship? We tell them along with your work is worship, we also add the worship of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Make them chant Hare Krishna and gradually try to inspire them to read a book of Prabhupada if they associate with a pure devotee. See, association of pure devotee is very important. Otherwise, that appreciation of the importance of devotional service will not take place in the heart. We will constantly keep running after material pleasures. So, if we are able to inspire them to read a book of Prabhupada, or at least if they are not ready for that, at least okay, you are already doing the worship of Krishna indirectly through your work. You add direct worship of Krishna every day you dedicate 10 minutes for chanting one mala of Hare Krishna. Like this, we gradually introduce Krishna consciousness into their life. Definitely, they are pious people. If they are thinking like that work is worship, they are definitely better than people who think that the whole material world is meant for my enjoyment. Isn't it? So, some level of vairagya is there, some level of renunciation is there. We build on that. So, we don't discourage them in any way. Our process is not to detach people from anything. Our process is very simple. We attach ourselves to Krishna, automatically detachment will come. We don't have to strive separately for that. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Jane Tyashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. We engage in devotional service to Krishna, automatically in the heart knowledge and renunciation will take place. So, we bring people in touch with Krishna consciousness, we encourage them to chant Hare Krishna, we encourage them to read Prabhupada's books, we give them Krishna Prasadam, we bring them to the temple for darshan of Krishna Balaram. Like this, what happens is gradually we build on their piety and gradually Krishna's holy name will do the magic in their lives. Is that okay? We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.